Hi, Theresa. Okay, in this video, I want to talk about POTS because I got a comment on another video that I posted asking about POTS, the commenter said basically that the YouTube algorithm has recommended them like 3 creators who have POTS symptoms and talk about their POTS symptoms. That's POTS. And the commenter is talking about having a little bit of fear and wanting to know what are the signs, would they know already, and they want to know firsthand from somebody who experiences it, because they did mention like, yeah, I know that I can look it up, but I want to know from someone who knows, firsthand. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that is what the comment said. And basically, POTS, it stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is this fancy way of saying that that sometimes when you change your posture, or like when you're standing versus sitting, it can be hard for your heart to regulate blood pressure and blood volume, so it can start to race or pound. So I took notes about what I wanted to talk about, because the first thing I wanted to mention is that it can be scary to learn, or even consider, like, to learn that you have a new disability, or to even consider that you might have a new disability that you didn't know about. It is scary to recognize your own needs in general. And it's also scary to recognize that you might have more needs than you've been aware of so far. It feels really scary, especially if you're someone, most people have experienced not getting their needs met. But I want to reassure you, because it's actually really, really exciting to learn about a new disability that you have, or even explore the possibility of having a disability that you didn't know about, because it gives you information about how to take care of your body specifically. Everybody's body is different and has different needs and like accommodations, and learning specifically about a disability that you have just points you in the right direction of what to do to feel better. It's great, because if you have been struggling to know like how to improve your life, or how to just feel better in general, sometimes learning about disabilities and symptoms that you're experiencing can be wonderful, magical, and life-saving, because it allows you to take better care of your body. And it also means that however you're feeling right now, however you've been feeling, you can feel even better. So I hope this is really reassuring news. It was also really scary for me to learn about the disabilities I didn't know that I have been suffering from. And since learning about them, I realized that I'm so glad, I'm so excited when I am aware of new symptoms that create a new pattern that I can like use to make myself feel better, because it truly has helped me so much to learn about like the disabilities that I have that I didn't know. So I hope that's reassuring. I also wanted to make a point to mention that the commenter said specifically that they have been recommended 3 different creators with postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and they're wondering if that means that they might have it. And I want to point out basically that POTS is really, really common with people who are autistic, have ADHD, or have some other neurodivergencies. But usually, as far as I know, those are the big 2 that commonly are comorbid, it's called, which I don't really like that word. It's kind of morbid. But those are commonly occurring with POTS. They're very, very linked. So So I say that because if you are being recommended content creators who have POTS, it's very likely that you respond really positively to creators who are autistic, creators who have ADHD, or are neurodivergent in some other way, because creators who talk about POTS online often have autism or ADHD. So I'm just putting that all out there for perspective. Now I want to get directly into the signs of POTS and the symptoms as I experience them. The first one I'm going to mention is brain fog, confusion, having trouble keeping track of my thoughts, feeling distractible or like vaguely distracted, or just in general having confusion, especially if it's worse on hot days. All of these signs, like, what you're looking for is a pattern. You know, if a lot of these symptoms all create a pattern that does sound like POTS, what you can basically do is try some of the accommodations that help with POTS, and then you can use that to gauge if it's helping or not. So brain fog, especially on hot days. Oh, I also want to mention before I describe more that each case of POTS is different. So there's going to be variety. And I'm obviously not a medical professional, so I'm not diagnosing anybody with anything, and I'm just giving you some tips that can help. But of course, and yes, I also wanted to mention that a lot of people who caught COVID at least once also have been developing POTS after having COVID. I think especially like if you had a severe case of COVID, or it was like really had a kind of intense impact on your body, it might have been a little bit of strain on your system, and it could have you could have developed POTS from that. So that's also a group that is more likely to have it. Okay. So brain fog, worse on hot days. Headaches and migraines, also worse on hot days, but even when I'm drinking a lot of water. I call that usually well hydrated, because I think if I'm drinking a lot of water, I'm well hydrated. But if you think of yourself as being really well hydrated, and you've eaten, you've got calories, and you don't know why you're having these headaches or migraines, or you don't know how to get rid of it, it could be related to POTS. It could be your blood pressure and the like salt level or level of other electrolytes in your blood. So headaches, migraines, poor circulation. And that's confusing, but how it shows up for me is that my feet will stay cold very often. My toes will stay cold, and my hands can sometimes get clammy or sweaty. That doesn't happen for me as much. What I notice the most is that I have cold toes, cold feet, and that when I'm standing for a long time, my feet will feel heavy and dense and a little bit of pain, because they're kind of filling up with blood, like my feet and my legs. It's not something that I didn't know how to describe the pain as being blood pooling in my feet and legs until after I knew that I had POTS and paid attention to it in that like frame. Before, I would just experience like the pain in my legs, my lower legs and my feet, of like standing too long and not feeling like soreness quite, like just feeling like an aching and like a pressure, and sometimes a little swelling feeling, and like really wanting to like put my feet up. On hot days, that feeling can be like even more so, especially when standing, if it happens after standing for a long time. So poor circulation, heart palpitations. I'm gonna be more specific about this because that's kind of confusing on its own for me as well. So for me, how this shows up is that my heart will feel like it's pounding, more than normal, like, you know, there's some normal situations where your heart might pound a little, you know, you get surprised or something. But more than normal, I'm noticing pounding. And my breath will start to feel a little bit shorter when I'm having that heart pounding, that tachycardia, or at least the heart palpitations. Because sometimes I don't notice that it's beating faster. I notice first that it's beating harder, and so it feels like it's working harder to keep the blood moving. And I also notice that when I stand, I get dizzy, I get a little lightheaded, or I get the fuzzy vision, or like any combination of those three. If you get the gray, that kind of you need to wait for it to fade before you can see again. That can be a sign that that you have POTS, and that upon standing, your blood pressure changes so much that your heart and your system is just kind of having a trouble balancing everything. So then I get into signs via like treatments, like compression socks. So this is a pair of compression socks I have. This is a shorter pair, just a crew sock kind of pair. This is really helpful for me for longer periods of time when I know that I might be in kind of a hot environment, or like a warmer than normal environment. So it's more likely that my blood vessels will be dilated and that my heart will have trouble circulating everything fully when I do stand. But I know that I don't need maybe as much compression as, for example, this compression sock, which these ones are better for me when I know that I'm mainly going to be standing, when I'm going outside on a hot day and I'm gonna be like directly in sunlight or almost directly, like under shade or with an umbrella. Then these are really helpful for me. Even if I'm just having a bad POTS day around the house, I'll put these on and take them off when I'm standing or when I'm up needing to do chores. I'll take them off when I can lay down, put my feet up, and put my head like lower than, have my feet even at more of an incline than my head, like higher. Then I'll take these off. Because if I wear them all the time, then they become less useful. So it's better to kind of limit them to when I am going to be standing for long periods or standing in general. And I have worn these at home when I'm having bad POTS days. And I have worn these out when I went to a friend's graduation. It was really hot, and these helped so much. So if compression socks help, or compression in general, I even noticed that when I had bandaged a compression bandage around my calf, around my leg, my lower leg, that even helped, because I had bandaged it for another reason, but it also helped my POTS. So if compression helps, that can be a sign that you might be having POTS symptoms. If taking salt helps your symptoms, that can also be a sign. The way that I do it, I'll show you right now, because it might be confusing how much to take, etc. So I've got my salt. I usually like to take it with me when I go out, especially during summer. It's really important because I'm gonna be in direct sunlight, I'm gonna be outside, there's warmer temperatures, and I need to prepare my body and make sure that I have enough salt and electrolytes. So you can use any salt. I use table salt a lot of times, but I prefer the taste of this because the table salt, like, it's sodium chloride. Is that how you say? Yeah, sodium chloride. So it tastes a little chlorinated to me. So salt. I got my water. I'm gonna take a swig of water. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, so I will literally just take a swig of water, put a pinch of salt in there. I do a pretty generous pinch, as you can see. You can do less, but if it tastes good, especially, that can be a sign that your body is craving more salt. So you could try a little bit more. Honestly, people with POTS need so much salt that and everyone needs salt in their system in general, because your body needs salt as an electrolyte. So trying this is not going to hurt you. And it can, if it takes away your headache, if it takes away your migraine or even eases it, if it helps your heart slow down and start to feel better because it's increasing your blood volume, that can be a sign that maybe you are experiencing POTS symptoms, and maybe taking more salt or having salt available so that you can use it to feel better whenever you need it and take care of yourself might be really helpful. If you feel the blood pooling, I described that. If you feel panicky in the heat and summer stresses you out because it's more of a struggle for you, if you panic under like direct sunlight kind of, and you get like, you feel like discombobulated, that's totally a sign of POTS. Oh, and my last one is that if you have a headache or a migraine, you try to take a nap and you wake up and it's worse or it didn't go away, even though you like drank water and ate food, or you know, it could be POTS. You know, sometimes you take a nap thinking it's going to make your headache go away and it doesn't, and you don't know why, and it turns out it's because salt and food, yes, very important. Rest, also very important, but oops, I said it. I said salt and food. I meant to say food and water, yes, very important. Sleep, very important, but also salt. And sometimes I try to take a nap when I think that it'll make my headache better, and it turns out I needed to have salt, and that would help my headache and my migraine. And yeah, so I would say if you try those things and that helps, that's a pretty good sign. Oh, also, like I said, sitting with your head down, like laying down, but especially laying down with your feet up against a wall is usually really helpful because it drains the blood back into your head. That usually, like salt, water, and putting my feet up against a wall, those really, really help, like instantly help a migraine or headache or a POTS attack where I'm having trouble catching my breath because I'm just feeling short of breath. My heart can't quite catch up. It feels like it's just working too hard. Those usually help immediately for me in those situations. So I hope this was really helpful. This will definitely be helpful for me to watch again later because I put a lot of my best treatments and best organized thoughts about POTS in this in my notes and in this video. And for any non-me people, especially the person who commented, I really hope that this helps you, and I'm glad that it helps to hear from someone who experiences it directly, because it can really help to kind of humanize the experience instead of the kind of medical language that you can find online that is sometimes hard to interpret. Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to do in this video before it gets to 20 minutes is to show off the progress on my clown guy, because I added his hands and feet and I'm really excited about his progress. I'm also gonna give him some more details, so you'll see that later. Okay, I hope this helped. Bye.